and I show you right, cause this is homegrown radio. This is homegrown radio.
Like, so what happens is that I'm starting to feel like I don't want to wait until it gets to my brother or my nephew. Like, what can I do now? And I'm angry to the point where I don't want to stand outside. I'm with whatever somebody else want to do. Protest. You want to protest? Do your thing. That's something. That's right. Spark the mind to get something going. Cool. I'm all the way with that. But my thing, I asked somebody on the internet today, how do you come peaceful and protest to an opposing side, and this opposing side is literally shooting at you? Who am I to say be peaceful?
You having a position that you have, you being on Instagram, I mean, I know it may seem like a small step, but you posting about that shit is already getting people aware, like,
that's something.
All right, this ain't right. The problem that I always see is that everybody has a problem with a certain issue. We rally, troop, do whatever we got to do, but then a week, 2 weeks later, the issue's out the window. Everybody's feeling comfortable again. You know what I'm saying? And it's another story that makes everybody have to come back to this whole situation. I don't know if people really take it as serious as really what it is. And I told you yesterday, I feel like I'm a part of the problem because I feel desensitized to the shit. Like, when the shit happened with Mike Brown, I'm like, oh, another mother got killed by the cops, and that's bad. I shouldn't think like that. And I guess what we're trying to figure out is, what is that first step? What do we do?
I don't know. I don't know. Mm-hmm. What I do know is that it's going to go bad. You're murdering us in record numbers, and then we have to watch you niggas go to court and get off. David Banner did a tweet yesterday that said some fucking bullshit about, nigga, everybody retweeted that shit like some real ass shit. When you think about what the fuck he's saying, it's stupid. Talking about they look at blacks the way we look at blacks. Like, they look at y'all the way we look at each other. We don't value each other, blacks. We don't value blacks. Right? What kind of fuck ass shit is that? The reason why that's some fuck shit is because you're diverting the attention back to us.
Right.
We're pointing at you. You're like, wait, hold up. But y'all don't like each other. Oh yeah, we don't like each other. Let's fight again. You immediately you really stop talking about the police and the problem and start talking about quote unquote black on black crime, which is bullshit, because there's no such thing as white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, Mexican on Mexican crime. There's no such thing. So you immediately turn our attention to black on black crime, which doesn't exist. And now everybody like, yeah, that's some real shit. We don't value each other. Now y'all ain't talking about the police no more.
To prevent a problem from happening, we have to educate ourselves and come together. Yeah, everybody rioting, and as black people, we like, oh yeah, they going off in St. Louis, they turning up. That's not the solution. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King had the biggest impact on our society and civil rights because he was a nonviolent protester. When you do things nonviolently, you educate yourselves, you become undeniable. And I think the problem with black people is we don't become undeniable to the point that there can't be any fault in anything. Like, the girl got shot yesterday during the St. Louis protest, and the police chief says, well, although she might not have been doing anything wrong, if there's a whole group of people doing something wrong, we have to use force to protect ourselves and to calm down the crowd. So therefore, you're not being undeniable. So now the police have an excuse. As black people, we have to not allow them to have an excuse. Just like stereotypes. Stereotypes exist because there's truth in them. It may not be all it is. You know, we see, oh, the cops is bad, the cops is crazy, the cops is this. The cops look at us like, oh, black people is this, black people is that. It may not all be true, but there are some truths inside of that stereotype. So it's up to us to educate ourselves and become undeniable and stop looking at cops as being the problem and saying, hey, if we're undeniable and we're doing what we need to do all around and holding everybody accountable, then the cops can't do nothing.
I know we said that, oh, rioting is wrong, but is it really? Historically, plenty of countries and plenty of people have rioted. France burned down Paris during World War II, and it worked. And then we have Sherman, who burned down Atlanta in the Civil Rights Movement, and it worked. We had slaves during the rebellions, and they burned down their own homes, their own ammunition, their own guns, and it worked. And in every situation, the government is forced to rebuild. And we can't say that we're destroying our own communities, because on numbers, statistically, the black community only owns 2 to 3% of all of of the resources. So we're not burning down our own communities. We're galvanizing the people. Historically, if people who are galvanized, people who react, people who create change, it works. This is on record. This is on paper. This is not an opinion. This is a fact.
I seen some shit today. A 6-year-old talking about, I don't know if the police are really here to protect me. I don't know if they're heroes anymore. At 6 years old, she shouldn't feel that way.
People say whatever against rioting and don't riot and stuff, but before we rioted, they was beating our fucking ass. All your uncles, all your homies, half our grandparents come from the east side and shit. All of them tell you they used to beat our ass every day, the police, and not say nothing. So when we burnt this shit down, we were so deep, they told the cops to stand down. And after they did that, yeah, it wasn't shit in the community for 10 years. But they also wasn't beating our ass as much.
I think one of the main problems is, you said, what do we do next? I think of all our elders, they went through this shit. Where's our elders at? Our elders need to be telling, what did y'all do? When y'all was fighting, protesting, going through the street, what were the mistakes you guys were making? We're in a room full of young people. I don't see no old people in here. Where's our elders out that's going to tell us, hey man, don't do that. This is what y'all need to do. Y'all need to communicate this way. You need to, whatever the steps were that they took to make a difference is the same steps that we need to learn and know about.
Afraid out here. Like, I'm not scared on some punk shit. I'm afraid that me and my ass that don't do nothing can get killed for not doing nothing. Right? And we got stupid ass cops that get a high school diploma and no fucking how the fuck you gotta go out through this shit to be an FBI, but you don't have to do shit to be a cop. I got homies that come out straight out the hood as cops. Them motherfuckers is crooked as shit. Why does that nigga have the power and the badge? Why? These cops are stupid. They don't know shit. So the people who don't know shit are hired to protect y'all and your kids. And then when they get dumped off, they hide behind that same law. And then you motherfuckers want to tell me about teaching. Or y'all got to follow these steps. And this you got to do. And this you got to do. Whatever. Nigga, get with the bullshit. Get with the bullshit. Get your ass knocked off. I don't give a fuck what nobody think about what I got to say. I'm with the punk shit. I'm with that shit.
Now, speaking of education, are there any groups or anybody that's out there actually stepping up in informing the people as well that maybe we need to know about?
There's an organization called Southern Poverty Law Center. Right. They post shit all the time. Yeah. From them today, I learned that the KKK is raising funds to reward the police officer that shot him.
Same thing they did with Zimmerman.
Look up that shit. And not and then
what's the name of it again?
SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. They were able to get an email that the KKK sent around applauding his efforts, saying we need more police officers like that.
What's not being articulated is the importance of critical thinking. It's very simple. And it is one of those things that the more education you attire, the sharper your critical thinking skills become because you're challenged to increase them because you have to. So it does correlate to education. However, there are people who can think critically and do so very well who have not attained degrees. We all agree upon that. So we don't want to create this dichotomy between the educated person, quote unquote, and the uneducated person, quote unquote. However, the skill of thinking critically is a skill. It is a tool and it needs to be sharpened.
If you want to preserve some shit for these kids, then we got to have soldiers. We got to come up with a solution that is something that we can work together and build a community. Because I don't want to fucking die. I don't want to walk up and watch my son get shot. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that.
Bro, I agree with all the points. You're right. I'm rolling. You're right. It has to happen all at the same time. Everybody has their role. Now what I'm going to be honest about though is I'm going to be honest about is that your way is going to be a little more longer, further of a stretch than my way. Because I never said strap up and start shooting. I never said that. Strap up though. Strap up though. I didn't say get out here. You see a cock on the street, just dump on the nigga. I didn't say none of that. I'm saying, watch your ass.
As far as what that goes into, it's a military mind state. And at no point should we be coming up trained in a war zone. Like, if this is supposed to be a community, why do I feel like I'm in a war zone? Why does luck feel like that? For 20 years, 20 different times over your life? No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what it is. And the way these cops are being brought in, it's a military propaganda. They look for insecure dudes who don't know how to handle shit and go, yo, you need a job. I got a job that's got a lot of money and you don't have to do shit. and or it's ex-military people with post-war syndrome that's already ready to pop off, and that's why you're getting into these situations. So even if it's an education or a miseducation, you're talking about behavior, you're talking about characteristics, you're talking about patterns, you're talking about a condition and an institution, which is a whole different conversation that can be had on Homegrown at another time.
But where are the people learning about how the system works? You can't do shit from the outside. That's just how it works. You can by affecting change, you can by raising the conversation, but you can't do anything from the outside. It's never been done. If I got a stone wall, you have to get in the wall in order to do some shit. Or you could break it down. You could break it down, but in all honesty, look, they got bigger guns than we got.
I think it comes down to being dedicated. If somebody told us that we could affect change in I'm going to say not like in the world, but if we can affect change in our little small town within our block. If somebody said we could affect change in our block, but it would require us to do some bullshit or to do some suit shit 3 days a week for 10 minutes for 10 years, would that be something that we would want to do? And at first, a lot of us would be like, hell yeah, because we're about that bullshit or we're about that suit life. Yes, we'll do it. But then you get a year in and some shit come up. And then you get 2 years in and that shit kind of starts to separate from where it was to where it's at now. So I think that the first thing is, again, are we going to be dedicated enough to continue?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, if you need to email us, info@homegrownradio.net. Before everybody leaves here, we're going to make sure they sign a sheet with their email and their contact information so we can go on and distribute that for the people that do want to stay in contact. And we out, man. Appreciate that. Homegrownradio.net. We'll see y'all next week.
Homegrownradio.net. Bringing radio back to its roots.